Have you ever wondered what makes a great story explode into a global phenomenon? Well, today we're talking about Demon Slayer, a series that has just completely shattered all the records. But its success isn't just about those amazing action sequences. Nope, we're going to dive in and uncover the deep cultural layers that make this story so powerful. First up, let's just talk about the sheer scale of this thing. The Demon Slayer franchise has pulled in over $10 billion in total revenue. That's not just a successful anime, you know? That is a global economic force. It's playing in the same league as stuff like Jurassic Park and Dragon Ball. Insane. And it's not just about the cash. The movie Mugen Train became the highest-grossing Japanese film of all time. It actually dethroned Studio Ghibli's masterpiece, Spirited Away, which held that top spot for nearly 2 decades. So the big question is, how? How did this happen? Well, the answer starts not in some fantasy world, but in a very real, very specific moment in Japanese history. Right. The entire series is set during Japan's Taisho era. That's from 1912 to 1926. And believe me, this was not just a random choice for a cool backdrop. It is absolutely the key to understanding the story's deepest conflicts. The Taisho era was a time of intense contradiction. On one hand, you had this movement called Taisho democracy, a push towards more open, liberal, kind of Western-style ideals. But at the very same time, you had this powerful surge of militarism and nationalism, with secret groups pushing for rigid authority. It was a culture literally at war with itself. And this exact conflict plays out in the series. The Demon Slayer Corps, with its strict rules and unwavering mission, it's a mirror of that rising militarism. But our hero, Tanjiro, he represents the other side. His deep empathy, even for the demons he has to fight, totally challenges that simple black and white good versus evil story. And his powerful sense of duty as the eldest son, that's a direct echo of the strong Confucian family values from that period. Okay, so we've got the history, but the story's roots go even deeper. It's also woven into this rich tapestry of Japanese spirituality. And this is where the story gets its real soul. At its very heart, the Demon Slayer's mission is basically a form of hare. That's a core Shinto ritual of purification. So you see, they aren't just killing monsters, they're symbolically cleansing the world of evil and impurity, trying to restore a kind of spiritual balance. And that brings us to the idea of Tama, which is like the soul or your spiritual core. In the Mugen Train movie, this becomes stunningly literal. An enemy actually enters Tanjiro's dream to destroy his spiritual core, and what does he find? Not darkness, but this warm, vast, sunlit sky. Tanjiro's Tama is so pure and beautiful that it completely changes his attacker's heart on the spot. Even the demons themselves are pulled straight from tradition. They're inspired by yokai, the supernatural creatures from Japanese folklore. The villain Enmu, with his creepy, stretched-out neck, that's a direct nod to the Rokuro Kubi. And other characters dream of these shape-shifting raccoon dogs called tanuki. So these aren't just random monster designs, they're centuries of folklore brought to life. And woven through all of this is the Buddhist concept of mujo, or impermanence. It's the idea that things are beautiful because they don't last forever. You know, like the fleeting beauty of a cherry blossom or a human life. This philosophy is absolutely central to one of the series' most powerful and heartbreaking moments. Which leads us to the emotional core of the series, the thing that really sets it apart from so many other action shows. It's not just about winning the fight, it's about salvation. Just look at this comparison with another huge hit, Jujutsu Kaisen. In JJK, the enemies are cursed spirits, literally born from pure negative emotion. The fight is against this dark, twisted system. But in Demon Slayer, the demons, they were all once human. So the goal isn't just to destroy them, it's about freeing them from their suffering. It's a story about finding compassion in the middle of absolute horror. And here's the kicker. In Mugen Train, after Tanjiro gets stabbed by this poor train engineer who's being manipulated, his first thought isn't revenge, it's saving the engineer's soul. This is a perfect reflection of the Buddhist ideal of a bodhisattva, someone who puts the salvation of others, even their enemies, ahead of their own life. It's this truly radical empathy that just hits you right in the heart. Now, of course, none of this heavy emotional stuff would land quite right without the jaw-dropping visuals. And for that, we have to talk about the animation studio, Ufotable, and the absolutely insane technical challenges they had to overcome. This was the question Ufotable was facing. They had to animate the Infinity Castle from the manga, this mind-bending, gravity-defying MC Esther-style maze. The scale was so huge, the complexity was so off the charts, that their usual animation pipeline just couldn't handle it. Get this. When they first ran the numbers, their calculations showed that just to render the 3D computer graphics for one movie set in the Infinity Castle would take 3.5 years. That is just completely, utterly impossible for a production schedule. So they had this paradox on their hands. They had to make the process way, way faster, but at the same time make the visuals even more complex and detailed than anything they'd ever done. How do you even begin to solve that? But they did it, and in doing so, they basically changed how they make anime forever. They totally overhauled their whole system. They brought in state-of-the-art, high-speed machines. Then they went through and manually optimized every single 3D model to make them lighter, which is an incredibly painstaking process. They re-engineered their entire network, and, this is the big one, they moved their entire team to a fully digital workflow. It was this massive tech leap born out of pure creative need, and it's why every single frame of that show feels like a moving painting. So when you put it all together, the history, the spirituality, that unique emotional core, and the game-changing technology, you really start to see the bigger picture of what makes Demon Slayer so incredibly special. You know, the use of dreams in Mugen Train? It's not just some cool plot device. It's the latest step in a tradition that's been part of Japanese storytelling for over 1,000 years. From ancient poetry to the world's very first novel, The Tale of Genji, all the way to today. At the end of the day, Demon Slayer's magic comes from this amazing fusion. It takes the deepest roots of Japanese culture, ideas of duty, compassion, the beauty in a fleeting moment, and presents them using the most cutting-edge animation on the planet. So I'll just leave you with this thought. Has this series created a brand new blueprint for how ancient cultures can tell their most profound stories to a modern global audience?